I hooked up with my neighbor who was married, and she ended up getting a divorce. Let me tell you the story. It's 2019. I am with my ex at the time. We had a 2-year-old together. We just bought a home, and we are excited about buying this home together. We're excited about moving into this like family-friendly neighborhood. It's a very exciting time, okay? Not only was I super excited, but we were living with my dad at that time, so I was even more excited. I had just turned 21, and if you want to do the math, I'm old as shit now. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time with my daughter. This time, I was having a lot of dreams about women, okay? Because back up here, before I was with my daughter's father, let's just call him Edward, okay? Before I was with Edward, I had been on apps looking to hook up with women. Looking to date women. I had just got out of a terrible breakup, and I was looking for a woman, okay? I had always thought I liked women, so that was my intention. And then I met this fool. I ended up staying with him for a while, and we bought a house together. And honestly, at this time, I was having dreams about women, but I was not acting on anything. Anyways, he's working a lot, and I started to realize, because we have a joint checking account together at this point, and he is starting to spend money at clubs that he was going to, and different baristas that he was going to go see, that I wasn't aware he was going these places. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read my mind, okay? He was just going a lot of places, spending a lot of money, tipping these people a lot of money, when I was under the assumption that we needed our budget really tight, okay? And honestly, I don't think I would have had a big problem with it if I was aware that he was doing things, but when somebody makes it seem like they're cheating or they're hiding things behind your back, why would you be okay with it? Because at that point, what else are you hiding? So anyways, I start to emotionally detach there. And then we're moved into this house, and I'm alone a lot over there, and I see my neighbors. I'm thinking, like, do I want to go ahead and go say hi now? I had noticed they had children. I had noticed a man over there, but I had never seen anybody else, just a man and his 2 kids. So I was like, okay, like, but every time I tried to say hi, this man would go inside, so I was convinced he like didn't like me or thought I was weird. But one day, probably like a month had passed at this point, we were living there for a bit now. I've only ever seen him and the kids there, and I had tried to say hi a few times, but this time he has a female over there with him, and she tips back her chair. She's sitting in like a lounge chair. She tips back her chair, and she's like, hey, did you just move here? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay, like, we should hang out sometime. Like, I live here. And she points to the house where I have never seen her before, because I would have remembered. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I remember thinking she was weird. I remember thinking she was really weird, but then, you know, I was having those dreams at night, okay? So somehow she became part of those dreams. So then I'm fantasizing about this neighbor, and I end up starting to hang out with her because she's there a lot more often now. I end up saying hi to the neighbor, and I end up being like, hey, I've been trying to say hi, but every time I try to say hi to you, you're gone, and I like think you hate me. Telling me he does not hate me, okay? It was in my head. It's fine. A lot of things are. But I end up hanging out with his wife a lot, and we're having fun. It is what it is. Our kids are hanging out. It's fun. And then she starts coming over a lot more when nobody else is there. And then next thing I know, I get a text from her where it's like, if only you liked women. And I was like, but I do. But I didn't really know if I did. I mean, like, I knew that I did. Like, I knew that I was attracted to them, but I didn't, like, I'd never had any encounters, okay? Women, because we, like, live so close. And I was like, but I do. And she was like, no way. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, well, would Edward ever let you? And I was like, yeah. Because back up, Edward had cheated on me a long time ago, so he said that I had one free pass. So your girl was about to use this free pass, okay? So since we hung out a lot, I end up picking her up from the bar a lot, so she doesn't drive home intoxicated. But the only problem is now we were alone together, and then we started to become alone together increasingly. And then I remember I invited her like a date movie. We hung out, and then she ended up talking to her husband at the time, and asked if she was allowed to do anything with me. He was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. So then we end up having sleepovers when the kids aren't around. We become like obsessed with each other to the point where we're spending the night. I'm taking her kids to school. I'm bringing my daughter over. Sometimes she's spending the night. Like, we're really close. We're having couples game nights. And now we're both just like, now that we like hanging out with each other, I don't really want these men around us anymore. I think had we been stable in these relationships, we probably would not have acted this way. And then we have a Halloween party. I'm smiling because the Halloween party ended in disaster. Ended in such a disaster, in fact, that it was bad. I ended up breaking it off completely with my daughter's father at that point. And I ended up like moving in to her house.
I didn't let you go home.
Yeah, she didn't let me go home because it was like very toxic, very bad environment to be in. So I ended up staying at her house. Her husband at the time took the guest bedroom and I would sleep in bed with her. And my daughter had her own room, okay? So it was like I had moved my whole life from next door into this house. And she still had a husband. I did not have a man at the time. But then the conversation went from like, you know, I know we're married, but like, I like her too. And he was like, no, like, I know you do. And she was like, no, but like, I have a commitment with her. And he was like, okay, like, what does that mean? Basically, it meant I don't want to be with you anymore. I want to be with her now. Her and I ended up getting together, and her husband lived with us for a while. Well, I lived with them. All three of us lived together all the way through COVID. I don't know if we would have survived without him, though. We ended up becoming best friends, okay? And now he's a gay queen, okay? So they were both gay. I destroyed their marriage. But I think it was already on its way out. We probably lived together for 3 years. Yeah, and we were best friends, and we would like all co-parent the kids together. But let's make one thing clear. It was like they weren't together anymore like that. And it was like me and her, and then he had his own man on the side who would come over sometimes. So it was actually a lot of fun. It really worked for us. I miss him, actually. He lives down the street, but it'll never be the same. He just needs to move back in. But he has a whole husband now. If you're seeing this video, just move back in, okay? He's always been really good to my daughter, too. So he would, like, hang out with her sometimes, and we all got really close, so it was a lot of fun. We would go downstairs, like, sometimes in the middle of the night together, and we would go snacks and talk shit together. And when she pissed me off, like, he'd be like, yeah, I know, girl. I know, I get it. She crazy, you know? But there's one thing that he always said to me that I'll never forget. He always told me, no refunds and no exchanges. Meaning, I could have his wife, they were gonna get divorced, but he don't want her back. Here's the bitch in question. And there's our child. And we've been together for like 5 years. Okay, bye.